Welcome to Reckless Speculating, and I'm telling you, abbreviated edition tonight because we only have two. We have two members missing, but I'm coming with all guns ablazing. I'm double barrel loaded. I am Reckless Speculating tonight. Later, we're going to talk about Tennessee, Florida, and I'm going to tell you why this is a program-defining weekend for the University of Tennessee. Over to my right, from the D, Colin Cowherd has stole my stick and is on national TV claiming the Lions are going to the playoffs. You heard it first here on Reckless Speculation. He is Tom Sloan.
What is happening? Yes. Well, I think there's a lot of buzz for the, as my good buddy Rich Jasper would say, the Pontiac Pussycats. They played well. 2 weeks they've really played well, and lo and behold, who has the third best quarterback efficiency in the NFL? Yes, Jared Goff. So I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, eating the cornbread yet, but there is a lot to look forward to. And yes, Colin Cowherd did say today that he felt like the Lions were playoff bound, and then even his co-host, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, he goes, you need to say that with conviction because they are going to the playoffs this year. So I'm going to pump the brakes on it. We've been disappointed my whole life, but I like what I see so far. Dan Campbell's got those boys really biting kneecaps this year.
I'm not pumping the brakes. I'm going to make it worse. Over to my next. That way.
Over here.
He's sad tonight. He's upset because his Titans got took to the shed this week. The Buffalo Bills may have exposed the Tennessee Titans. And we'll talk about where the Titans are at right now as far as, I don't know if you call it a program in the NFL, but where their team's at. He's Robbie Davis.
Yeah, that's all true. But, Randall, you know what this week is. You know what this week's about. It is Tennessee-Florida week. There's a different air when you wake up. There's a different vibe. There's a different Twitter atmosphere. There's just something different about this week. For Vols fans, it's Florida week and it's Alabama week. Depending on your age, I definitely respect the Alabama week, but my age group, my generation, it's been this week. It's the Tennessee-Florida week.
I will say Alabama's more of a rivalry, but I come closer to despising the Florida Gators than I do by far. Yeah. And this week, if you're a Florida Gator fan, you probably don't want to watch the show. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you probably don't want to watch the show. Come back and join us next week where I'll talk good about Anthony Richardson. Not this week. Not at all. Robbie, it is definitely an air of excitement around this game that's not been in a while, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I do want to get to the NFL first, and I want to talk about some instant reactions from this weekend. We're sorry that two of our brothers can't be with us tonight, Shane and Raj. Raj may join us a little bit later, but they're dealing with some family stuff, and it's all right. I'm feeling it tonight. I know what my pregame routine was, and it was better than yours. So let's start, first of all, in the AFC South. And let's talk about the AFC South. Robbie, you are a Titans fan. You are a season ticket holder. Shane is a season ticket holder. Not only is it the Titans collapsed a little bit, at the beginning of the year, I spouted to anyone that would listen, the Colts are an elite playoff team, and Matt Ryan is going to make them a Super Bowl contender. The Texans and the Jaguars were trash. They didn't even belong in this division. Right now, as we sit 3 weeks into the NFL season, the only team with a victory in that division is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it was over the Indianapolis Colts. What happened to the AFC South?
Yeah, this is an embarrassment for four teams. The Titans have been outscored 35 points for the season. The Colts 24, the Texans 7, Jacksonville's plus 18, but that's just only because they've had the privilege of playing two horrible teams. Look, every year in the NFL, there's a team or teams that appear to fall off the cliff. Rarely is it in the same division, but it looks like what it's happening here is both the Titans and the Colts. Both playoff teams last year are falling off the cliff at the same time. The Titans against probably, if I'd say, the best team in football right now, on the road, like on one series, you start off first down, 5 wide. What are you going to do? Pass ball. Second series, 2 tight ends. What are you going to do? Run the ball. 3rd and long. And then you're just giving the ball back to them. Like you're not being creative. So the Titans, I think the coach, I'm not saying Vrabel, but some of these, they just got to get on the same page and try to work Henry in more. But it's looking like a lost team. The Colts, though, woo, man, they look awful. They look like the worst team in football right now. It's been 2 games, but they look awful.
And went out, traded for a quarterback, released Carson Wentz, who's looked great. Traded for Matt Ryan. Jonathan Taylor coming in is probably the highest in fantasy football. I don't know if it's in legitimate live football, but the number 1 rated running back in the division. Tom, if you were going to take a team in this division to right the ship, who are you taking right now?
That's a tough call. I'd probably go with the Titans because they have the right coaching. They have the right pieces.
And 22 difference.
Yeah, and they have the experience too. I think for Tennessee, their first drive, they look good. And I know I texted you guys and said, that's a nice drive. And it quieted the crowd real well. But it seemed like once Luan went down, the whole vibe of that team just kind of collapsed. They've lost 2 starters on the offensive line, which when you're run heavy, that's huge. And they ate Austin Hooper, or the tight end. He's been, nothing to write home about. So when you're kind of left one-dimensional with a beat-up offensive line, that makes you vulnerable. And to a team like Buffalo, that's just going to make everybody look stupid and exposed. That's a bad recipe for disaster. But I like what I saw out of Jacksonville. I just think Trevor Lawrence is starting to get it right. I know it's only 2 weeks in, but not having Urban Meyer, the drill sergeant there, just decimated that whole team last year. I think you're starting to see these players really respond well, and going and shutting out the Colts, who have Jonathan Taylor, who has Matt Ryan with the experience. That's something to hang your hat on. But with the Colts, they're missing Shaq Leonard. He's the heart and soul, and not only that defense, but he's the heart and soul of that team. And when he's not on the sidelines, that hurts. And from what I understand, he's supposed to be coming back soon, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. But if there's a team that can kind of rebound, and it all comes down to coaching, and I think Vrabel's one of the top 5 in the NFL, even though he's a Buckeye, that matters. And he just finds ways to get everything he can out of his team. And I can see them fixing it here within the next week or so.
Just a quick little stat, and just to lay it out here. So to compare our teams, points against this year, the Titans have given up 62 points. The Lions have given up 65 points. The point differential, Titans minus 35, Detroit plus 6. That's an offensive, just huge gap of not being able to move the football.
Yep. Robbie, let me ask you a question right there. We were here draft night as a reckless speculation, and live here, they trade A.J. Brown. 2 years ago, they lost their tight end that was an athletic down-the-field tight end. They've lost several players on the offensive line that us as fans don't go, oh, well, Lamb left and went to Detroit. Well, Saffold's in Buffalo. this is a team that's maintained Derrick Henry, maintained quarterback, but around that, it's been chaos the last 3 years.
Yeah, like, do you want to know how stupid it is to lose a deep ball receiver when you want to run the ball? It's idiotic. Look at how different Miami looks now that Tyreek Hill can take the lid off of a defense. You cannot load the box when you have a dynamic wide receiver out there. That's what they're doing to the Titans now. They're loading the box. Henry, he may have 120 yards total this year. He had 25 on Monday night because there's no one to put pressure on the outside. And
They're
he
one-dimensional.
can only do so much. If he can't get – and the announcers nailed it. Every time his feet went sideways, he was done. He's been a straight – if his feet go forward and he busts a hole, he's gone. He's stronger, faster. But without someone take the lid off the defense, yeah, I mean, these players get paid too. These coaches get paid too. Yeah, the Titans front office, I don't care if he was unhappy or not. You've got a short window. They blew it, and this is the consequences.
And was under contract for this year.
Yeah.
Did not have to pay him a penny. It could have, I mean, and also he has publicly said he would have signed for like a $3 million less to stay with the Titans. But let's talk about A.J. Brown. Tom, A.J. Brown, right now. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts a little later in this program. 15 catches, 224 yards. 7.5 catches, 112 yards a game. And Jalen Hurts looks remade now with maybe the first time in his career a big-time down-the-field target.
Well, he showed his arm strength in that second quarter. What, a 55-yard touchdown pass that wide open. And who we're not talking about is Devonta Smith, who really – he hasn't really come into play this season, hasn't had to. But A.J. Brown, not only has he changed the landscape of that team, you look at the fact that who's his best friend? It's Jalen Hurts. So that's something that can't be undersold in a sense that there's that, comfort knowing that I'm going to put the ball up and my guy's going to go and get it. And I think them bringing A.J. Brown showed the Eagles' commitment to Jalen Hurts. And so I think the previous 2 years, he's kind of had that, well, if I make a mistake, are they going to pull me? That's not the case anymore. He's the guy. And he's right now he's playing, I know it's week 2, but he's playing MVP style football because not only is he killing you with his running ability, his escape ability, he's making right decisions in the pocket. He's becoming the quarterback that I think Baltimore would like to see Lamar Jackson become because he's not afraid to stay in the pocket, take the hit, but deliver the pass. So I think this NFC East is the Eagles and everybody else because Jalen Hurts from year 2 to year 3, it's incredible so far what we've been able to see. And what they did to Minnesota, who I remember 2 weeks ago, I was saying they could be a top 2, top 3 defense. He made them look like a college football team. They were confused. They didn't know what to do. And, Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown, watch out.
Tom, before I go back to Robbie to talk about A.J. Brown, I want to wrap up the Titans subject with pick that division top to bottom after 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think Tennessee will get it right. As hard as it is to think at the moment, I'm going Tennessee. Jacksonville, I believe in this team. I really do. They've got a strong offense, and they got P. Ryan back, who was out all last year in running back. So I'll go Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Colts, and Houston hasn't looked bad. They've got a really good defense, but I don't think Davis Mills is anything that's going to be able to make a run. So I see them finished in last.
So, Robbie, before we come to you and ask you the same question, I'm going to give you my predictions. Right. Mine are exactly the same as Tom's, except flip 1 and 2. I really think Jacksonville could win this division at like 9 and 8. It could be a real ugly division winner. Go ahead, Robbie.
Under 500, perhaps?
Nine's a lot of wins to get.
Yeah.
I think Vrabel will make some changes. If we got the Raiders this week, probably another loss, 0-3. I think we shuffle some stuff up. I still think this division's so bad that the Titans can climb. Titans, Jags.
You're only
Colts,
one game out after 2. Go ahead.
Yeah. Titans, Jags, Texans, Colts.
Robbie, last question about the Titans, and it's going to lead into this talk a little farther about Jalen Hurts. Did we underappreciate how good A.J. Brown is as a receiver because he did line up in the huddle with Derrick Henry every week, and we assumed that he's just getting single coverage all over the field?
No, I don't think we did at all. I mean, we were all shocked on draft night that he got traded. Like that, they went to the AFC Championship game the year before, number 1 seed, and then a bad performance by Tannehill and some missed field goals, lost at home to the eventual AFC Championship team. And then you just trade your best receiver for a rookie. And when there's no real salary cap issues, and really we got this year, maybe it's going to be blown up anyways. No, this was not us underappreciating. This was just a GM that tried to outsmart himself. Mm-hmm. And it's blowing up in his face currently.
Yep.
Good point. All right, guys, let's move on to the Eagles a little bit. I've got a test I want to give you both, and it's a little nice. We got a smaller crowd, so we can talk about it a little more and get into depth. Let's rate Jalen Hurts real quick as a quarterback. Would we all agree that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are better quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts?
Currently?
I don't know about Brady right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you Josh Allen and Mahomes, but let's pump the brakes on Brady right now.
Yeah.
All right,
here's a name I would throw right now that's better than Brady. Tua.
Leads to the next question. Who's the best post-Alabama quarterback? Tua, Jones, or Hurts?
Right now, it's Hurts. It's Hurts because he's complete. He's brings the whole package. I think Tua's on his way, and why he's on his way is one guy. And like you said a few minutes ago, it's Tyreek Hill. Got him on my fantasy team. Thank you. That one player makes the difference. And look at the Chiefs. Their offense has kind of slipped a little bit this year, but as far as the top post Alabama, it's got to be Jalen Hurts. Mac Jones is a system type quarterback in New England. They're absolutely killing him. He's not going to make it a whole season. I seen a highlight of him walking off the field. They were literally helping him walk. He couldn't even walk straight. He's that beat up. But as far as being a complete all-around quarterback, it's Jalen Hurts, and Tua's on his way. I'd like to see him do a little bit more running, which I think is going to open up his downfield game. But yeah, he's coming. He's making a nice little impact.
Robbie, I'm going to ask the question a little different than for you. After the Bo Jackson injury to Tua, he's about 2 full seasons now off of that injury. Are we finally seeing the Tua that we should have got post NFL career?
Yeah. So look, he was the number one, if I recall correctly, the number one recruit out of high school. Yep. So he was a stud then.
Beat Jalen.
He was presumptively the number one pick out of college till he got hurt. So all the NFL scouts have number one. You add this. Look, Tyreek Hill, y'all are, similar in age to me. Is like, look, I remember 3 freaks in the NFL that just dominated the wide receiver, cornerback era. Like Dion was shut down an entire half of the field. Randy Moss, it didn't matter what you did to him. If you threw it, he'd get there. Tyreek Hill is in that category. He's just faster than everybody else, and he's
a game changer.
He's slimy, and he just can get past you. And Waddle's going to benefit from this.
He has
from this, and that was the best game of the weekend last weekend. That Dolphins Baltimore game. I'm a little scared for him with Von Miller coming to town this weekend because you don't want to see him get hurt. But no, if Tua stays healthy, I really like the way his trajectory is. But with that being said, another takeaway from Hurts. Hurts is, as people were saying, hey, he should switch positions. No, they were dead wrong. He has got this Lamar Jackson, but with a better arm, not a better arm, but a better quarterback mindset to him.
Right.
So I think the Eagles are, and we'll get to this, they're a top 3 team in the NFC.
Yeah, they are. Another reason why I think you're going to see Tua make that next step, Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
He is the type of coach that he's going to design plays that fit his skill set, and he hasn't had that since his college days. So that coach, young guy, passionate, talks about how he goes days on end with no shower, and he's a realist, and I think that's exactly what that team needs, is somebody that's just going to believe in his players, and you're seeing the effects of having the right fit at coach.
Let's get caught up on the court chatter here. Derek with, of course, stick the fork in the Cowboys from that talk earlier. I think Rich's point here about Tua's weapons, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's just not Tariq.
No.
They're a complete football team.
Waddle benefited in that fourth quarter specifically because he caught 2 touchdowns and he was wide open because they feared Tyreek so much over the middle, over the top, that they left him one-on-one, and Waddle's just as fast as Hill. So,
and I think this is another good point from Derek. Jalen's a little bit more two-dimensional to Tua. And again, he's 24 months off the Bo Jackson injury. I don't know any other way to call it.
Yep.
He gets the nod for the best post to Alabama. After Jalen loses a step, Tua takes that title, and he's got the better wide receiver court. I will agree with that. And Rich, Brendan,
not by a lot. AJ and Devontae Smith, like that. Those 2 teams are loaded.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Zach Ertz, like they're good.
And Gesicki right now is averaging 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's played well too. Raheem Mostert coming from the dead of the heap to be a factor in Miami. Maybe
he did that in San Francisco.
Yeah,
he was like a number 4 back, and you give him the opportunity, and he took advantage of it. And now he's doing it again.
So, guys, just a little bit to bring everybody up to date. Shane had some family issues. Raj has a little family sickness he's dealing with. So we scaled it down tonight because I want the opportunity to talk to tonight. So I'm going to take Raj and Shane's minutes away from them. Let's move quickly to the NFL power ratings. Now, I took the before we go there, I jumped something I want to talk about real fast. Trey Lance goes down, a very bad ankle injury, out for the season. Jimmy G comes in and plays well. If you're Shanahan now, what are you telling this team about your quarterback situation? Jimmy Garoppolo is gone after this year. Robbie, what do you start with?
I'm not so sure about that fact. That he's gone. I know they gave him a bunch of gave a bunch of draft picks. This is Trey Lance's third year without playing football or out playing substantial football. I'm not sure Jimmy G's gone. But if I'm him, I'm saying, look, this is why we brought Jimmy G back, is because we believe in him and we think we can win a Super Bowl with him. Whether that lands or not, I don't know if that's what I'm saying. But I think, at least I've been on this bandwagon all along. You got to keep Jimmy G because Trey Lance has not proven anything. And I'm not happy he got hurt. I hope the young man recovers, obviously. But yeah, if I'm San Francisco, if I'm the players, happy's not a right word because someone got hurt and their career's in jeopardy. But I think I'm more comfortable with Jimmy G moving forward.
Robbie, I think as I go to Tom, it's not that Jimmy G's not maybe a better quarterback than Trey Lance. I don't think financially with the salary cap, you can keep Trey Lance and Jimmy G on the same team next year. And if I'm Jimmy G, I'm going somewhere and getting me a 3-year contract for $75 million.
Well, I think this past offseason, I don't think Jimmy G wanted to go. That was the 49ers, I think, jumping the gun. I know I've said this before. I don't think Trey Lance was ready to take the next step. San Francisco goes to the NFC title game with Jimmy G, and you're going to quit on him the next year. I didn't think that was right. So I think you're going to have a situation where now Jimmy G is playing now for his next contract. And if he succeeds, you got to like what he did. Coming in cold, albeit it was, the first quarter, but he hasn't taken first team reps. He hasn't worked out with any of those guys. So he gets put right into the game and he leads them to a decisive win. If he does that right now, you got to look at San Francisco as they could be the front runner because I'm not sold on what I've seen from the Rams. But so now you have a situation where Jimmy G is going to become more wanted. So he's playing for his next contract. And I think there's going to be teams that maybe were thinking, that are going to be jumping for joy to get a chance at possibly signing him. So as far as the coach goes, I think the coach just said status quo. He's gotten you here before. He's like Robbie said, everyone's comfortable with him. They know what they're going to get out of him. And when Kittle comes back, hopefully this week, because he's my tight end, I think that's going to make that offense a little bit more or less stagnant, what it was the past couple of weeks. But I think this is Jimmy Garoppolo saying, I'm going to use the 49ers now to get me another contract with a different team.
Well, and don't discount the Niners could still trade Trey Lance also.
Yeah, true.
They won't get back what they gave for him, but they can get something back.
How dumb does the coach look with passing on Jimmy G and taking Matt Ryan after 2 weeks? Robbie.
Idiotic.
Yep. Yeah, they do. I hate to say it, and unless Matt Ryan gets I like this comment. Is Jimmy G going to become the next hired gun Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I doubt it. He's got about 13 more teams to go on. I really think the situation with Jimmy G is news came out during the whole offseason that once he signed his big contract, his 5-year deal with San Francisco, he went MIA. He went radio silent for weeks on end. They were trying to get a hold of him. They weren't able to. And so I think a lot of teams looked at that as he's not really a team player, but things will be different come at the end of this season.
All right, Robbie, you want to wrap us up on Jimmy G? And, of course, Rich is with you on it. If Jimmy G comes, tears it up, Trey Lance could be moved.
Yeah, look, one of the big things in this business is knowing when you make a mistake and admitting it and not dying on that same sword. So if you made the wrong pick, if you traded 3 number ones for this guy and he doesn't pan out, well, try to get a number 1 back and then try to find another day. But there's one thing you can survive in the NFL with and there's one thing you cannot, and it's a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have one, you will most certainly die
Do what you
in
can,
the NFL.
So I go back to the Jeff George comparison. Jeff George was in Indianapolis and was tearing the league up and was a franchise quarterback who was so much a head case, they let him walk. He goes to Atlanta, signs a big contract. Atlanta sends him packing after a couple of years. There is a level that it becomes anti-productive to your football team. And Robbie, I think you made the point of the night. If you made a mistake and you continue to hold on to that mistake, you're just going to dig it deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So, you fix it. And I go back to the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Rosen with the 8th pick.
Yeah, get rid of him.
Next year is gone and Kyler Murray's in. And we're about to talk about the Cardinals and that AFC East. Guys, last subject on the NFL. I did a little bit of power ratings. Now, I didn't go too crazy. I actually stayed within the ESPN top 10, and I separated them via conference. And what I'm saying in this is I think this is not an NCAA rating system. This is the better football team right now. If these two teams played on a neutral field, I'll take any team rated above any team over them. And I want to start in the AFC. ESPN's number one team. And my number one team in the AFC is the Buffalo Bills. Is there anyone besides the Chiefs that are real contenders to the Buffalo Bills?
No. No exclamation point.
It's not even close. Not even close.
No.
You look at Buffalo, they're missing their heart and soul with Tre'Davious White. He blew out his knee last year. He won't be back till I think after week 4 this year or later. All facets of the game, offense, defense, special teams, they are as complete of a team as I've seen in a long time.
Von Miller shifting from the Rams to Buffalo just shifted that championship power.
Lord of the Rings.
It's like when Dion went from the Niners to the Cowboys and vice versa. Like that's the difference.
Not even close.
The one that I thought was close, and I debated this one, was 3 and 4 in the AFC. I put the Dolphins over the Chrgers, and I think most people would have the Chrgers over the Dolphins. But what I've seen to this point in the season, I think the Dolphins may be that best team at the next level. Robbie.
I agree with that. I think the Dolphins are the 3rd best team that I've seen. They beat the Ravens. They're 2-0. Yes. They beat the Patriots and the Ravens. That's the best resume so far, I think. Maybe the Bills beating the Rams and Titans, but Titans look garbage. So,
Tom, what did you think 3 and 4? Would you have the Chrgers or the Dolphins?
On paper, you would say Chrgers, but now with the injury that Herbert's got, that cartilage fracture, and it's, it doesn't matter where on your rib cage, it's going to affect him. That changes things. So I think for the Chargers to be number 3, they need their full allotment of receivers. And Allen was hurt last week. And, who's going to step up at tight end. So they've kind of become predictable in a sense that Mike Williams is going to do what he did last week, have a fantastic first half, kind of lackluster second half. I think the defense has made the adjustment. That's where you would need Allen on that other side to kind of break that up. But explosiveness, it's Miami number 3 because, again, Tyreek Hill, he makes that big of a difference. And you know what? You might give up 35, but if you score 38, 21 in the fourth quarter, you're going to win every week.
Robbie, we hear a name with the Chrgers, and I think he's having a great second year as a pro. But his role truly is slot receiver in that offense. Josh Palmer has played well, but he cannot replace what Keenan Allen is on the outside. And to me, that was my decision.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not strong enough to play press covers. Like, he needs to be in the slot where he can get free and make some moves. And, he's not – he needs to be a slot receiver. You said it, nail on the head. He needs to be there. And so if he's not there, that limits the offense.
Tom, Ravens' next best team up in my book. It was hard for me to come up with a team better than Baltimore.
You got a quarterback in Lamar Jackson who's he's playing for his next contract. He's doing it himself. He doesn't have an agent, so he's got a lot of motivation. And up till probably the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, he looked like he was worth every penny that he's probably going to get from them next week or next year. So yeah, the defense kind of scares you, but then again, they're not going to go up against, the speed that Miami brings. So yeah, I could see the Ravens coming in right about where you have them. The North, the NFC North, let's call it what it is. It's terrible. They're going to walk away with that division. So interconference, I don't think they're going to have a hard time getting through it unless the Bengals can miraculously develop an offensive line, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, the Baltimore's probably a safe bet within that top 5.
Robbie, you got anyone else other than Baltimore?
No, that's the logical choice. The best quarterback left. The Bengals are going to get Joe Burrow killed. They can't keep doing what they're doing. As of right now, Baltimore's number 5. If you wanted to get cute, you could switch Baltimore with LA, but I don't think so. I think I like Baltimore at 5.
I think so too. Welcome in, Raj Mehta, just in time for the discussion of the AFC.
You survived COVID.
It's my brain and liver that I'm worried about, not COVID per se, but don't waste your time on me, but we just talked about Baltimore, but then you said let's move on to the AFC. So we're doing total power rankings, or
no, we're doing it by division. AFC, NFC.
That would make sense.
Those are conferences, but yes.
Baltimore defense sucks. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm still taking Cincinnati.
All right, let's move on to the NFC. And truthfully, I had that debate whether it's Cincinnati and Baltimore. In the NFC, I really, when I wrote down my rankings and I texted it out to y'all, I really felt like you could have flipped them upside down and had an argument that they were correct too. I really feel like the NFC is that close this year that there is some wild card to it. My number 5 team, the team we've already talked about, in the Niners, and Raj, we'll open up the Niners discussion with you. I think the consensus is that the Niners got better as a football team despite the injury to Trey Lance.
That's not my consensus per se, only because I'm a firm believer in Elijah Mitchell. But yeah, they don't. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, they were going to have to necessarily take their lumps with Lance. I think this day and age, especially with an accomplished team, we all think a guy can show up and just make the team better. No, Kaepernick wasn't, realistically speaking, that's not possible. Jimmy G, to start out the season is going to be much better, but he's got obvious limitations, and that's why they drafted Lance. But no, I totally agree. This is a great team, and I've said it before. Great is excessive, but it's been like 2 weeks, so bear with me. I love the defense. I love the skill positions, even with Jeff Wilson. They're going to be deadly, and to me, it's clear the Rams have a hangover. And they got very fortunate last year, and it's not going to happen again. Now, people may bring up the Bears game, but it's Chicago. They're pretty good on D. It was a monsoon in India, if not worse, and it was Trey Lance's first game. in a very limited conceptual offense after they lost their bell cow.
Who's never played in conditions like that.
Never played in conditions. Yeah. Dude was at North Dakota State. They have a dome, right? So I don't put too much faith in that. I know we all and pro and college love it, but they lost to this, but they lost to it. It doesn't mean anything in the NFL. Niners, legit. Defense, awesome.
All right, Tom, let's move on just a little bit. I'm going to give you the team above them, and we've already discussed it a little bit. And this was, I think I have the Eagles too low, but I listed the Eagles at number 4, right above the Niners. Above the Eagles is the Packers at number 3. And I felt sick at my stomach putting that down. Am I completely wrong there? So the Niners and the Eagles be in front of the Packers? That's not a complete football team.
No. I think right now in the NFC, it's the Eagles number 1 in my estimation.
Me too.
Green Bay got lucky that they were playing the Bears at home on Sunday night in front of their home fans, primetime game. That's where Rodgers shines the brightest. But make no mistake, his receiving core is weak at best. Your number 1 receiver, Alan Lazard, who's coming off an ankle, who's still not 100%, 40 catches last year, and he's your number 1. Aaron Jones doesn't look like the Aaron Jones of old. A.J. Dillon, if he doesn't have a hole, he's not getting there. So this is going to be a year where it's going to fall more heavily on Aaron Rodgers, and he does not have his security blanket in Devontae Adams, who he could literally just throw it up and go get it. The Eagles have that guy. His name's A.J. Brown. So I think the Packers at above the Eagles is a stretch at best, because I just don't see it. I really don't see it.
So let me throw this at you too while we're just debating this. I moved them down 2 spots. ESPN had them as the 4th best football team in the NFL, and I thought I'd missed something.
That's ESPN's popularity contest. Everyone loves to talk about Aaron Rodgers and his hypnotic tea that he drinks. He's a different player this year. He looks different. His appearance is different. I don't see that fire. Albeit it's week 2, but I just don't think he's having a good time in Green Bay with what he's got. And I don't see it getting any better for him. They're going to have to rely on that defense even more so, and it's going to be a tough season. Can they win the North? At this point, 3 of the 4 teams can win the North, so I think they'll be in that conversation. But right now, to put them in the top 5, probably a little too high.
All right, Robbie, you get 1 and 2, and I intentionally put them 1 and 2, even though ESPN had one of them down a little bit. I don't know how it's kind of like the old college football thing. I cannot take the Rams down from 1 yet, and it was harder for me to even move Brady below 2. I can see the Eagles ahead of the BUCS. I don't know if I can put the Eagles ahead of the Rams yet.
So this is the trick about the NFL. Everyone says this is what I assumed to happen. This is what I assumed to be good. This is what happened last year. And that's not what happens in the NFL. Every year is a new year, new coaches. It's not college football. My rankings in the NFC, like by far the AFC, while not as good as we thought they were going to be, still far ahead of the NFC. But I've got Eagles, Niners, BUCS, Rams, and the Giants. That's just what have you done for me? I mean, they're 2-0, and they're going to start losing, but they haven't yet. But no, the Rams, not yet. And then BUCS have been okay. They haven't played anybody yet, though. The Eagles, by far, to me, look like the most dangerous team in the NFC.
Mm-hmm. Something's weird with Brady.
Yeah, well, one he looks like
he's
he
like
looks
shrunken.
a robot.
Yeah, his face is completely like sunken in. He doesn't look comfortable. He looked really bad for 3 quarters last week.
Two guys that I've just noticed don't look like they are absolutely wanting to play is Brady and Rodgers. They've got different things going on, even more so than normal. They've always had different things going on, but it seems to me like it's gotten accelerated this year.
I think the conspiracy machine's getting out of control. Brady's got a much different offensive line. And if we're going to question anyone, that's the guy you don't. Nor do we make.
He's missing his center. He's missing Jensen, which is huge.
Massive.
You don't question until you do.
Goodwin. I mean, I'll question him when he's throwing 12 picks, when he has 10 minutes of time and all his skill guys are there. So I'm not going to say it's the NFL, man. Like we all know, 1-1. He goes out and beats a Dallas team that looks awesome last week with their backup quarterback and an amazing defense, and they shut him down, and then he looks like crap. And that's the NFL, especially if Brady could show up in December, he would. He doesn't even need to be here right now. The same token with Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, my issue with Aaron Rodgers is I've never thought he was that great of a leader. And he's a great player, don't get me wrong.
Playoff record.
And we always tend to think, I feel like a fantasy owner when it comes to like Green Bay's a bunch of fantasy owners, like, oh, A.J. Dillon has done this, and therefore he is ready to do this. No, he had a great offensive line. He had Devontae Adams on the other side, or opening things up, But back to Rodgers, he's been like lecturing and yelling at his receivers publicly, and they're like 11. They weren't even born when he came out of Cal in 2004 or whatever it was. So that's my issue with him. With Brady, I don't worry.
There's one thing I'll say about the Packers, and I've been on record to say the Lions are going to the playoffs, and I'll go on some reckless speculation here. The Packers right now are a mid-level team. I think week 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 down the road, if Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, if the receivers can play at a C-plus level, Green Bay is still a force. I don't know. I don't think there's near enough to win a Super Bowl, but I still think if they can get to that last part.
Aaron Rodgers when's the last time he's won a playoff game? Much less a Super Bowl.
Don't care, bro.
They still have a decent offensive line, and even with Tampa, I guess Green Bay's weakest link would be Newman.
Yeah, next time, just tell me Kirk Cousins is good on prime time.
He's won 4 MVPs.
Have I said that?
And
Jesus, my COVID still must be there.
I saw him be one of the most dominating quarterbacks for 1 year that I've ever seen. So we'll see. I mean,
I get it, but he sucked in the postseason.
Numbers are numbers.
They said the same thing about Peyton Manning for 10 years, 12 years.
Those guys are idiots, but he's right.
And that's fair criticism of Peyton Manning. I mean, it's fair. Like, if you go 13-3 every single year in the regular season and you don't perform in the postseason, that's fair. That's fair criticism.
He's got you there, dude.
But if he throws hot, runs hot, if he's already won a Super – see, this is the thing about Rodgers, and we'll go on the we seem to forget he did win a Super Bowl on a very dominating team that didn't even –
So did Flacco.
But
so did what's the
Brad
guy?
Johnson.
What a run that
Brad
was.
Johnson.
There's
Trent Dilfer. They've all won one.
Harrison, and you go back to that Rodgers versus that Flacco and how they run that offense. That offense was Aaron Rodgers. When Flacco won a Super Bowl, that offense was
How many years has Rodgers been the 1 seed?
Don't know.
Because of his division, but all these guys we've mentioned they have defenses. Green Bay's defense is good. Tampa's good. Rams good. Niners good. Eagles good. Now Dallas good. We don't have to debate the merit of quarterbacks and who's supposed to do what we expect. It's all defense.
But just don't tell me Rodgers is a god when he's got one.
Well, Patrick
Kind of looks like a god right now with his hairdo, if you're into mythology.
I don't even think Super Bowls define a quarterback. So
He's a god in his own eyes.
I
I
think,
agree.
again,
Says from a true Peyton worshiper. and that's fair too.
I worship him post-career because he is the funniest damn TV personality I've ever seen.
so how many quarterbacks have been to 4 Super Bowls like Peyton?
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly. He won
End of discussion.
0.
Elway.
How many did Elway win?
2.
2.
How many did Peyton Manning win?
Let's
2.
see. Did how many Roethlisberger go to? 3?
4.
We're not
4.
speculating now. We're just arguing.
So I want to move on.
Reckless
So-
arguing.
Football world, and
That's why we're married.
I'll mute everybody because I'm going to be a selfish for this week. I'm going to be so selfish for the next half hour, and we're going to talk about what I want to talk about. And what I want to talk about is reckless speculation. And what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of insanity. The college football world is in Knoxville this weekend. For the first time since 2016, Barstool, game day. Everyone is there. Tennessee comes into the game as a 10-point favorite against Florida.
Not big noon.
This is the Tennessee team that always blows it. It's not. This is an opportunity for Josh Heupel to put his stamp on this program. So let's open up there. Is this weekend as important to the Tennessee program as any weekend in the last decade? Robbie, you're a Tennessee fan. What is this weekend in playing Florida on national TV, game day, Barstool, the whole shooting match there? Are they there to see Tennessee flop, or are they there to see Tennessee win?
Yeah, so this is going to be one. This is the football mecca of the weekend, in a great traditional power, a great football atmosphere. Like you said, game day's going to be there. Barstool's going to be there.
You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
My tenants are charging $100 a spot to park. I'm like, are y'all crazy? But yeah, apparently that's the going rate.
They got to make up for 20 years of empty spots, bro.
And then
That money should go to you.
It's going to be crazy. I'm going on Friday night. They're having, so in the stadium that seats 101,000 people and change. There's a whole viewing party in Volunteer Village. So there's probably going to be 200,000 people there this weekend, on top of the natural Knoxville population. So the bars and the restaurants are going to get their money's worth for the year.
Which is
And
80,000.
it's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. I will be up at 7 a.m. starting the tailgate. So if you want to do a little reckless speculation, check in on me throughout the course of the day.
I'll be there.
See how that's going.
I don't think that's a good idea. We have a family audience.
Give you an example. Robbie, you said it well. Let me give you an example because I went on StubHub, Tom, before we had our show here. I have 2 seats in the lower level in the end zone.
Randall's seats are much better than mine, by the way.
StubHub is dumb, but you can get $1,000 each for those right now. I've been looking.
They were selling for not quite $1,000. It was 2 tickets in the end zone, lower level, next to the student section, $1,000.
Cheapest ticket
That's
on game time right now. $237.
Do you guys enjoy extortion? Because you don't want to go to either of those apps. But the point is I always look for a deal. I consider myself a professional at doing so. I used to hawk tickets. This is a tough ticket. I'm not sitting upper level. I've asked everyone. This is a very tough ticket. But for once, it's for good reason. And I don't care about game day. It's ESPN. They used to go to the biggest game of the week. Now they go to novel locations. However, they should always have cameras at certain places, and one of them is Knoxville with 180,000 people in the Vol Navy. And yeah, I think you guys are all a bunch of a-holes just when it comes to reality, but it's an amazing place where college football is best viewed there, and the rest of college football is best when they are good. And I think this will be a great game. Brings me to a quick question. Who is your biggest rival? Because Tennessee's kind of like USC and the Dodgers and the Yankees. Everyone who plays them considers them their biggest rival. And Florida hasn't been around too long, but I feel like you guys hate Florida the most.
Robbie answered that in the first
Randall
second.
does.
Oh, my bad.
It's I got arrested at Florida. If y'all want to hear the story, I'll share it later on. I hate them for a reason. I think it's age dependent, Raj. Like me, when I went to school, the biggest rival was Alabama. You lived for Alabama week. Alabama week was everything. But I strangely respect Alabama.
Now,
I've always. I lived in Tuscaloosa. It's a beautiful place. They're passionate about football. Every time I've ever been to Gainesville,
Florida in general.
Been bullied, spit on, smacked at, put in jail, arrested, fined for drinking beer in a long cave. It is the most. It's like your mom's front yard. Don't stand.
Sounds
on
like
the
East Lansing.
So in short, once
It's worse than that. I've been to both.
Florida, once Billy Donovan got to Florida in basketball, that elevated Florida over Alabama for me because it's multi-sports now. So I hate Florida in basketball and football, where Alabama, while Tennessee, oddly enough, has not done well against Alabama, but Alabama doesn't care about basketball. So it's just that kind of multi-sport thing that really gets Florida. It just irks me.
And the mark of a program that's significant, like Tennessee and the SEC, is living rent-free in heads. When Tennessee is good, everybody hates on them. They're their biggest rival. Even when they're not good, everybody feels the need to talk trash about Tennessee in particular. There's no need to do that, but that's the mark of a program that deserves relevance. And
I made a post on Vintage College Football this week about the rivalry, and I clearly marked it that Florida had won 13 of the last 15 games, and I have had over 200 responses from Gator fans just talking trash to me. Nothing positive. It's been all trash. Tom, I want to ask you, Raj gets a little he lives here, so he hears it year round, but you as an outsider, you as someone, several hundred miles away, what is the relevancy to Tennessee, Florida this weekend for you in Michigan?
You don't hear anything talked about it. And I think that comes from
balloon.
Like Raj is saying, the relevancy hasn't been there. If I can rewind a little ways back to the best year in my lifetime of college football, which was 1997, when the University of Michigan, yes, they were the best team in college football, not Nebraska. Michigan had the best secondary, best defensive player in the history of college football in Charles Woodson. But anyways, that was a good time for Tennessee football because who did they have at the helm? Number 16, Peyton Manning. I like to call him poo-poo Peyton Manning because, he thought he deserved the Heisman Trophy, but we all know who got it and who deserved it.
He did whine a lot.
But the relevancy hasn't been there. I think Michigan fans talk about Tennessee because you have your backup quarterback, whose name escapes me at the moment. Milton transferred from Michigan, who was a complete bust here to Tennessee. So I think it's getting a little hotter though, and I think once Friday night comes around and it starts to become closer to the weekend, I think that people start to look at the schedule like, okay, what's the game of the week? It's definitely going to be Florida and Tennessee. The Speakeasy will be live this Saturday, a big party going on. So that will be the game on the big screen to start it off. So, but It's tough because this is Big Ten country. I think a lot of people, I don't want to say don't appreciate SEC football. I don't think they understand it fully.
It's
The
not
passion.
It's not a national brand like it used to be.
Tom,
you
your
know-
dose of perspective is so valued and deeply appreciated. I can put down the crazy pills for now on this show. So thank you.
Well, I will say this.
Reality is tough.
But go ahead. Robbie.
Yeah, I will say this, and this is what I worry about with the division of networks and contracts. It's going to hurt college football if ESPN only talks about the SEC and Fox only talks about the Big Ten, and there's not this intertwined competition that what the NFL maintains as far as Fox. Like there's CBS and Fox have different contracts, but they all talk about each other. So I don't want ESPN and or Fox to ignore the other conference because that's going to suck as far as college football moving forward.
So I strangely agree with Tom's point and your point, Robbie. And I think there's more college football fans like me than we realize. I watch one Big Ten game a year. That's Michigan, Ohio State. I watch maybe 2 Pac-10 games a year because I'm a huge UCLA fan.
It's too many.
Cousin play at UCLA. College football by nature is a little bit still divided throughout the country. I agree with your point, Robbie, but there's certain brands, there's certain games that could transpose itself. I think Oklahoma, Nebraska did that for a period. I think Texas, Oklahoma still does it. I think USC, Notre Dame did it. I think Army, Navy. I think Alabama, Auburn does it.
But Tennessee, Florida, I don't mean to be this guy, but it doesn't. To the rest of the country, it's just two teams that play each other in lot. I know you guys are excited, but it's not what it was. Right now, the books say Tennessee is going to kill them. Technically, Clemson at Wake Forest is as interesting, if not more, based upon rankings and the spread.
That's what
I understand your point.
Raj, Wake Forest may do well to put 25,000 people in that stadium.
I mean, who cares? There's not a lot to do in Knoxville. No offense. Who cares if they put 100 there? It's about we're talking about the interest of the program and this game having national, at least I think nationally. I try to do that. I hate to burst your boat. You guys,
a whole lot.
and you know you're smaller.
More in Knoxville.
You guys get
in most
upset.
SEC campuses.
People don't share your enthusiasm, which is more of a reflection.
But again, in Knoxville, Tennessee, very few people care about USC or UCLA.
I know, but that's reality. I don't care. And most people don't care about this game is my point. Game day goes to Pennsylvania for Army Navy. Great thing. They go to Harvard, Yale. Last week they were in Boone, North Carolina for Troy, Appy State.
Again, I think
doesn't make anything the epicenter of the world as well.
They don't go to Harvard, Yale, but also they're coming to Knoxville because that is the biggest game on their network of the week. I mean, that's just what they do. And so, yeah, I mean, whether people in LA care or not, that doesn't really matter. Though people tune in because they have ESPN on their TV and it just continues on.
Game day was at Harvard, Yale in 2014.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Must have been an intriguing weekend.
You said they've never been. I'm just telling you they have.
Yeah.
The lie detector said that was a lie.
Yeah.
The ratings for Tennessee, Florida will be out, and we'll see where it does. I expect it'll do very good numbers with being.
Well, if you look in a sense, I don't mean to cut you off, Randall. I kind of had this thought in my head. This is the biggest game in their program in the last probably 5 years, maybe longer. This is the national championship game for them because if they don't win this game, then October 15th, who I plan on being in Knoxville for, is meaningless. The Alabama game. And then that becomes huge. That puts Tennessee back on the map. People are going to look forward to that type of game. So this is the biggest game on their schedule in the last 5 years. This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't take issue with people being excited about the game. I kind of just take issue whenever anything where others are spoken for. Like, this is it. It's absolute. But I guess that's speculation. Because I only care because I think
It's kind of what we do.
Tennessee fans, in theory, fans deserve this. I think that's why I care. And I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to give Alabama a game. And that's the week where I'll be like, hell yeah, game day. Come here then, because that's going to be a game.
All right, guys. Tom, you're in trouble. I mean, Rich, you're in trouble with Tom. It's like, what? Tom is invited to a game? I see. You didn't share the news. All right. I don't want to go.
That was reckless speculating at this point.
Yeah, that's the defense.
On this subject, but I do want to talk about it before we go to the power ratings. I would like to get a prediction from each of you, Tennessee, Florida, because I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to rant at the end of it about Josh Heupel and what I think of Josh Heupel. Let's start on the bottom row with Raj. Tennessee, Florida. Give us a prediction.
Well, quick side note, I showed my wife a picture of Josh Heupel when he played quarterback, and she accused me of lying and cheating on her in terms of veracity. He's a hell of a coach, and I like him. Does anybody else ever quickly feel that, like, if their coach looked better, that it would help with recruits and stuff? Or does it just kind of go to, like, how great that guy can talk? I think Tennessee wins the game. I think it's going to be much closer than 10.5, 11 for a lot of different reasons. But I think Tennessee's just the better team, and that's been rare in this series, but I think they're definitely the better team, and definitely, I think, a better coach, even though we all like Napier. Tennessee by 4.
Napier, Chattanooga boy. Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Raj said. I like Tennessee here. I think this number is really ridiculous, 10.5. The over-under is at 62. That seems a little inflated. This is a big game for both teams. I think Florida's coming off a loss. They want to revenge, get their season back on track. So I like Tennessee. I think Florida covers here, and I like the under because I think this is going to be more of a defensive struggle than what we've seen in the first 2 weeks with Tennessee just airing it out. So going to be a test for Hayden Hooker. This is his big moment on the big stage. So how's he going to hold up? But give me Florida cover, Tennessee to win.
Robbie Davis. We got the Jasper boys, Tom, Rich with the Gators, and Derek with the Vols.
I like the under also, but I like Tennessee with the points. With that being said, either Tennessee covers or bet Florida money line. I don't think it's going to be close.
That's what sage advice.
Close. I think Tennessee's going close. They're going to blow them out.
Gambler in right there.
Because man, it's going to be electric. It's going to be nuts. Probably the biggest game in Knoxville, hype-wise, even bigger than Oklahoma back whenever they played.
That was probably the biggest game in Knoxville.
It's going to be nuts.
They haven't been this good in a long time, and I think the world knows they're good.
Yeah.
And that adds a hype.
Yeah. So, yeah, give me the points and the under.
I want to take just a second, and everybody knows I attended the University of Tennessee, so I'm going to take a second. This is the reason I started this network, is so I could have a second to rant. I'm going to take it here. I'm going to pick Tennessee at the end of this, but what I'm going to do in between is talk about the respect that I've grown to have for Josh Heupel. And I've been in a room with him twice, once at an alumni event, one at a smaller ticket holder event. And Rod, you're absolutely right that he looks like every man standing on the street corner. He looks like your Uncle Tommy that fixes cars in the backyard on the weekend.
I love my uncle.
He looked, yeah, Uncle Tommy.
I don't think Chrgers.
Singularly well spoken. He speaks well about the football team, and everything he talks about is football related. When you saw Phil Fulmer, you saw someone that was caring about the media, and it was all over the place. Derek Dooley tried to be a stand-up comedian. Lane Kiffin was Lane Kiffin. So we've been through this group of coaches.
Everyone's got to get laid occasionally.
Yes.
He's a leader. He's definitely a leader.
Butch Jones was absolutely a psycho that could get red-faced trying to order a hamburger at a buffet. So for Tennessee, it's been embarrassing to be a Tennessee graduate at times over the last 15 years. We haven't been to Atlanta since 2007. We haven't played for an SEC title in the longest period of my lifetime. So I want Tennessee to win so bad this weekend. I want Tennessee to be relevant. I want Tennessee to be someone that brings attention to eyes. But I don't want to lose the fact that last year, this program had 60 people on scholarship. 60 people, 60 players. We were dressing out less people than an FCS team. The portal is the reason this program rebuilt in 2 years and not in 10 years. So for everything I've killed about the portal, you see a program can rebuild, can restructure. We still only have 78 kids on scholarships. And it does hurt you in special teams. Our kicker's not on scholarship. Our long snapper got a scholarship this year. You got to steal those scholarships. I'm with Robbie, though. I don't think Josh Heupel is Mel Tucker. I don't think he's a con guy. I don't think he's doing it sideways. And I think the band will play early and often, one way or the other one. So it's going to be Tennessee with this huge blowout win, or go ahead and get Florida on the money line, because I don't see any other outcomes. I think Neyland Stadium is the difference in the game, and I think it can make a difference in this game. So appreciate y'all letting me rant, but if Heupel walks out of Knoxville with a W this weekend, people's going to be naming their kids Josh on Monday. And
but will he leave though? Like if Venables doesn't work out, is there an element? Look, that's way down the line.
After him. No,
but he wasn't like that good yet.
That program is in better shape today because of the 18 months he's already spent there.
Oh yeah, well, much better.
If Venables fails 4 years from now and Josh Heupel leaves 5 years from now, that roster will be in better shape than it ever was under.
No,
Butch.
Don't forget,
that's a great
Oklahoma
point.
fired him. He's not going back to Oklahoma.
There was some politics there.
I worry more about someone, if he has a lot of success, I would worry more someone like Texas or somebody that kind of money could come after him, not as much about Oklahoma.
For your guys' sake, let's just hope that this is a problem down the line, because that means he would have won a ton of ball games in Knoxville.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. So thank y'all for letting me rant. Come next week, I will be coming in, and I like it. Tom, this guy named Tom said Michigan State benefited from the transfer portal last year. You are right. One thing I give Heupel credit for over Mel Tucker, most of the kids Heupel has brought in has had multiple years of eligibility. He's had people try to transfer that was kind of the one and done. If you weren't elite, you didn't get that spot. So
Mel Tucker stole $95 million from
USC wouldn't have a team if not for the transfer portal. I love it.
Have you looked at that game
Saturday? There's nobody happier in America than Mel Tucker.
That was easy money, dude. Washington. Oh my God. People were like, 3.5. They were so bad.
Do you see that they got the row the boat Gophers coming into East Lansing, and they're favored by 3. Row the boat, favored by 3. That's how much Mel Tucker stole money from the University of Michigan State, whatever.
That's taxpayer money, is it? That's a public university, right?
Row the boat. Let's get through the last subject we're going to cover tonight. I want to cover our top 10, the River City Media top 10 rankings in college football. And I'm going to start at the bottom and go around and let each one of y'all mention, is this team too high or too low? And Rod, since you're, let me see who I had number 10 so we can.
Okay. Quick disclaimer. I don't care. It's week 2 until each team plays each other. I don't get upset if somebody says
your opinion.
Yeah. I don't care if you guys. I'm not going to argue over it. Whatever people think, they think. I hope for objectivity, but don't think I care. I'm going to fight over something for once.
Well, I just let you.
Who knows?
That's yet to be seen.
I've got USC hiring anybody in the country, so we'll go there and stop there.
You're drunk on power.
Let's talk about the Big 12 in general, though, and let's start with the Big 12 are represented by 2 teams on this list: Oklahoma, which your coach left, and Oklahoma State, which is traditionally kind of a lower top 10 team. Is Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are in the Big 12 this year, and they are at 10, and Oklahoma is at 6.
Are you asking me? Oh shit! Sorry.
Yes,
it's so early that I just have this issue with ever throwing anything out there, which is I guess why I'm still married, and why I'm not an attorney. I think defense matters a lot, and I don't think USC has the defense, and I definitely don't think Oklahoma State has the defense. When it comes to OU, they lost so much. I like Dylan Gabriel. I really do. I like Hawaiian quarterbacks, but
UCF.
Yeah, exactly. A UCF guy.
Played a lot of football at UCF.
I don't see it with either. And the reason why I'm so wishy-washy is I always believe that in college football, there's 3 or 4 teams. This year, probably only 3, maybe 4. Sorry, Tom. Maybe Michigan, maybe OU, maybe USC, but that matter. And the rest are just like putting lipstick on a peg, as we say. So for the sake of argument, I would put OU somewhere up there. Oklahoma State, they lost a lot, especially on defense, and I don't see it. I really don't. I don't know who I'd put. I think Tennessee's a better team than Oklahoma State.
Fair enough. Robbie, I want to ask you about 2 SEC teams that's on the backside of the top 10. Kentucky and Arkansas currently at 9 and 7.
I thought you had OSU at 9.
Do what?
Did you not have OSU at 9?
Or Oklahoma State?
No, Arkansas is 9. Oklahoma State's 10.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just updating my rankings. And then Kentucky's at 7?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that seems about right. I mean, I think Kentucky would go. Granted, I've not seen Oklahoma or Oklahoma State play. Kentucky's got a better win, I think, than both of those. So I'd put Oklahoma above, or Kentucky above Oklahoma, and maybe in Arkansas as well. But I'm kind of with Raj on this. Like, it's fodder, it's fun, and we'll do it. But it's early, and I mean, it's hard to even see how these teams play yet.
Yes, it's fodder. That's what we do. It's the reason it's called reckless speculation.
I mean, question for you guys quickly, like Arkansas, why do we think, aside from them just being kids, that – I mean, they're a good team. We all know that. But they beat a very good team in Cincinnati, and then they barely beat what looks like a crappy team in South Carolina, and they struggle with Missouri State, who's actually better than the name. But it's a week-to-week thing, and these are 18-year-olds, right? And I get it. That's why with reckless speculation, it's okay to be wrong. But how good is a team like Arkansas when that's their resume thus far? You know, why do they struggle with Missouri State?
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, that's fair. What about South Carolina, though? Don't say Beamer, because that guy's an idiot.
The quarterback sucks.
Yeah, that's fun to talk about. That guy's losing his marbles quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dumbass. But
he is.
their
quarterback is garbage.
Oh,
Spencer
Rattler's
Rattler.
terrible. Yeah, terrible. But
Let's move the team out
it's
in South Carolina that I think have struggled, and they still continue to be in the top. Saw them as high as 5 in one of the coaches' polls. But it is you want to talk about a team with a resume that's mixed. Let's talk about Clemson. All the talent in the world, but no quarterback play, Tom.
yeah, I dropped them big time.
I mean, you look at I'm not even going to begin to pronounce his name, DJ. We'll just leave it at that. Apparently, I botched it 2 weeks ago, and I won't try it again.
We all botched it.
One time Brandon called the Clemson coordinator Brett Vegetables. So
Brett Vegetables, yeah. He's been a complete disappointment. Talk about somebody that came in with high praise. It was, DJ, whatever his last name is.
5-star highest back in the class.
Yeah, absolutely. And following up Trevor Lawrence, who let's face it, he could have been the best quarterback in college since, we got Joe Burrow mixed in there, but it just goes to show you that if you put all your eggs in the quarterback basket, you know what? It's not going to work well. And yeah, Clemson, I think this is a situation where their name has kept their relevancy, a lot like Notre Dame prior to 2 weeks ago. So it'll be tough. The ACC's, nothing to write home about. I can see them winning this conference, convincingly. I don't looking at the overall division, really, there's nobody in there that really scares me. Pitt doesn't do it because they had their hands full against the Fighting Broncos of Western Michigan last week. So this is a name recognition. Justin Pollington, our good buddy there, says he's going to lose his job, which very well could be the case, especially if you're number 5 and you're not producing. So they're a victim of their name, really, and in a bad conference.
All right, guys. I wish we'd sent Justin a link to tonight. We'll get him on. Justin is on next week. We'll talk college football, Justin, for a little bit. All right. That was kind of window fodder. I want to get to what matters. 2 weeks in, first poll coming out, I think, in 3 weeks for the BCS. I personally think that there is a huge debate on who is number 4. I think the 2 best teams in the country that we haven't talked about outside of those top 3 that we've continuously talked about since week 1, I think we could throw USC and Michigan both in that conversation. Rod, you're a USC guy. You said you didn't think they had enough defense, but it's hard to argue with the offensive explosion that has occurred at times when Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison and that group is hitting on all function.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think Alabama spoiled it for a lot of us, that, and Georgia, of course, that there are 3 deep of 5-star players, and SC doesn't have it. Now, their starting 22 is very talented, and I don't believe in this whole bend but don't break thing because, of course, their defense is going to be on the field a lot because the offense scores. And to your point, yeah, the offense is loaded. Those guys, and thank you, transfer portal. The line is actually good, which gives guys they have the best receiving core in the country, and I'm not just saying that to boast. I really believe that.
Minus a guy that's probably going to be an all-SEC receiver.
Yeah, Brew McCoy was there, and it took and Tennessee is right there, by the way, with me.
We won't go there again.
Exactly. I was right though.
There was no investigation, though. I know that. Yeah.
Let's blame somebody else. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's just Caleb Williams is really good, and I didn't realize how good he was until I saw him. And Addison and Mario Williams are easily the 2 most dynamic receivers I've seen in a long time. Tight end's a spot, but your point being is, yeah, they're going to score a lot of points. Are they? I think they're very, very good. I just don't know. Put them on a field against Tennessee. Do I think they're better? Sure. But then I watched Tennessee play, and, you've got just a lot of dudes built differently from different parts of the country. So who knows? I think right now Georgia is here, and I don't even think it's fair to put Alabama here, but it's kind of right there. Georgia looks like a more complete team right now. But then after that, I think we're all, like I said, insert horrible analogy or metaphor here. Like, I think they're very good, and I think their offense is probably the most dynamic in the country. But how dynamic are you against the Georgia defense, you know?
Yep, I follow you. Tom, the next conversation is going to be Ohio State and Michigan at 4-3 in most of the ESPN power ratings. It's different than a poll. Obviously, there's going to be somebody win that game down the road much farther. But to me, it seems like right now Ohio State's the more complete team. But and that may be because we've played 2 quarterbacks at Michigan. We've played 6 running backs. There is
the wrong quarterback in Michigan.
Yeah, there is some powering down of this roster that will happen now. Or am I wrong?
Well, first off, I think you might give the slight edge to Ohio State because they played somebody. I don't know who this team really is. Starting the season was planned. Cade was going to start game 1. JJ was going to start game 2. And from that point, they were going to decide who's going to win it. And the right guy won the job. You know, unfortunately, Cade did great things for this program. Got them to their first college football playoff berth. Won their first Big Ten title since the evolution of the Big Ten championship game. But with that being said, who's going to give you the better opportunity to win a football game? And it's clearly J.J. McCarthy. He's got a better arm accuracy. He's got a stronger arm, and he can take off and run. So
it's not even close.
Is it fair to say, Tom?
McCarthy's a potential Heisman guy down the line.
It's a different look to it. It's a different feel. It's a different sound compared to Cade.
There's no doubt about it. And I think the team reacts differently around him. But as far as the running backs go, let's face it, 8 quarterbacks took snaps last week against UConn, but they're loaded at running back position. And I think, they played 3 of the probably worst teams in college football, but it gave them an opportunity to really see who they got. And obviously Blake Corum's your number 1 running back, clearly going in. And then it's a battle between Edwards and C.J. Stroud, and they now have that experience.
You're going to get shot in Michigan if you call him C.J. Stroud.
I said his name wrong.
C.J. Stokes.
Stokes, yep. I apologize. JP, I'll hear it from him. I know it. But anyway,
JP should kick your ass.
JP, go ahead and fire up your comment. I'm waiting.
There it goes. But we really don't know. I think as far as a complete team, it's kind of hard to gauge. Michigan's playing a little bit better competition, not really much, in Maryland this week. But the bright spot I will say with Michigan is the one side that I didn't think they would do well is off defensively. Their front defense has been lights out, albeit they haven't played anybody's. But I'm looking forward to seeing what their potential could be. Losing Ajabo, losing Hutchinson was huge. It looks at the moment, maybe they've reloaded, and maybe not as good, but they have more of a balanced defensive line. So we'll see. Right now, Ohio State, because they played Notre Dame, but they also gave up a lot of points too. So
Marshall played Notre Dame.
Yeah, true. Michigan's outscoring 166-17
against the worst non-conference slate I think I've ever seen.
I've griped about that for weeks.
I have a quick question for you, Tom, and that's that defensively, I don't think anybody worries about Harbaugh, but what's it like being a Michigan fan with that guy as your coach? Because when I look at Cade McNamara, I feel like he should be wearing khakis and not the maize uniform. I think J.J. McCarthy makes Harbaugh nervous in what he's used to coaching and what he's comfortable doing.
Well, he shouldn't be nervous because he coached Colin Kaepernick. And JJ McCarthy is that type of a quarterback that has the ability to beat you with your legs, and he has the arm talent to boot. So if anyone knows me, I know I've mentioned it on this show many a times, I am not a big fan of Jim Harbaugh. He annoys me to high heavens. And I think up until last year, his arrogance got in the way of a lot of potential winning seasons with Michigan, in the sense that he wanted to be the guy. It's my show. Last year, that changed. He brought in the right coaches. He brought in the right people to lead those kids. And yeah, they lost their both coordinators in the offseason, but they brought guys in that are just as good, maybe even better. So he's kind of given the reins to the other guys, and I think that's why the success has come. So as a non-Jim Harbaugh fan, I'm okay with that. He doesn't stand there on the sidelines and look like he just shit his pants. I'm sorry, this is the PG-13 show, but he doesn't look like that anymore because he's not shouldering 100% of the coaching duties anymore.
Just win, baby. We don't care what you do.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, that leaves you the obvious question. I think the whole nation has already decided that Georgia was better than Alabama, but this is 2 weeks to get into the season, 3 weeks into the season. They avoid each other all the way to Atlanta. Could we see 12-0 in Atlanta?
This is setting up for Armageddon for college football. Look, you've got Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan, 1 through 4 right now. Let's just take the SEC. Whoever loses number 1, let's just say they run the table. Whoever loses number 1 is not falling past 4. Probably not falling past 2 or 3 for the matchup. You got Ohio State, Michigan. One of them's going to lose before the Big Ten championship. But depending on what happens behind them, look, this is as high as these 4 teams and these 2 conferences have been this early in the season. This could be bad for college football.
This feels like every year.
No, not every year. No. Never has you usually have Alabama. You never have those 4 teams of those 2 conferences that packed in together where behind them can keep losing and they can keep winning. And then wait till the end of the season, and it could be just 4 of them left at the end of the table again. This is not good for college football, but it very well could happen.
Who do you have, Alabama or Georgia, 3 weeks into the season as your number 1 team?
Oh God, Georgia looks amazing.
Spence,
he's got so much more confidence now, if that's even possible, that he makes them such a better team.
Is he your preseason early Heisman candidate?
I'd put him, Caleb Williams, and of course CJ Stroud as the 3 right now. But how can you limit it to 3? There's going to be a lot more voices later.
Yeah.
But yes, he looks amazing, and he looks like he's been going to the tanning bed. Like every part of him just does not look like the guy he was when he first started.
He did. He upgraded from the flip, so I think he's probably watching more game film on the go.
Okay, then the success is getting to his head. I don't know.
In that conversation, we left out the defending Heisman winner.
Oh yeah, Bryce Young.
He's a given. I guess I shouldn't have said 3, and I knew limiting to that. Bijan Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. Cedric Tillman if he stays healthy.
It's been a great show. Let's go into the closing segments because we're an hour and a half in. We're going to wrap it up at 90 minutes tonight. I'll go first with your bet your nuts. Go ahead, Robbie.
Well, I'll bet my nuts that we did not wrap it up in 90 minutes. Because
that's a safe bet.
We've been 95 minutes, but
let me finish the show. I got it. I can see the clock that says 94 minutes.
Well, it's only been 60 minutes since we've all been here in Randall's defense.
So
we're ahead of time.
So against my better judgment.
Bobby, wait, Rich, it'll take these egomaniacs a beer to just wrap up their final thought. So you're in good shape. Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Definitely accurate.
What was the question? I'm just
Rich,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Even your dog's getting pissed at you.
So, against my better judgment, I don't want to do it. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Vols minus 10.5 and parlay it with the under. I think Florida struggles with the noise. Richardson does not play well. It's going to be – they're not going to get to 17 points. It's going to be a Vols beatdown.
Yep.
That's a little parlay for you kids.
How's their tight end? Because every year a Florida tight end seems to murder Tennessee, but I don't know who their tight end is.
I don't know who their tight end is. All right. Mr. Tom, you got something for us tonight?
Well, I'm going to go down to a really godforsaken division in the NFL and pick a team that has a coach that I don't even think he's able to sit because it's so hot. It's probably already singed his taint hairs. Carolina Panthers playing the New Orleans Saints, playing a quarterback that has not one, not two, possibly 4 fractures in his back. Don't know how he's playing football, to be honest with you. And Jameis, don't steal the crab legs, Winston. The Saints are giving 2.5 points on the road. I like Carolina here to break through, get their first win. The Saints are very underwhelming. So I'm going to go Carolina, and the over-under is 40.5. That seems about right. So I'll take Carolina with the money line and the under to beat the Saints.
Awesome. I like that. Raj, go ahead.
I'd bet against the Raiders in any circumstance, and I see they're actually favored this weekend at Nashville, which I have to go to out of obligation and a sense of masochism. But I'm going with Wake +7 at home against Clemson. I really like that game. Tom, unfortunately, I probably would have gone with Maryland if the game were at Maryland, but 17 seems about right. But I think Wake, with a healthy Sam Hartman, wins this game outright. Flip side is, on these stages, sometimes the better team, the better defense, which Clemson's defense is maniacal, shows out. But I got faith in a superhuman quarterback, so I'm going Wake Forest +7.
That was my other bet your nuts before I saw that one, actually. I thought that was a really safe one.
Hey, another one I like is Washington State at home against Oregon. Depending on where you've seen it, it's around a touchdown. Washington State is an underdog. I guess the world forgot Bo Nix existed.
I am going to go to the world of baseball since my football pick got stoled. And I'm going to go into Saturday. And it's just because I've loved this guy all year. He's pitched well. I'm going to run line the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, Kyle Wright versus Falter for the Phillies. I'm going to lay them 1.5 for 110 and take the Braves. And I'm doing that just so I can say Kyle Wright gets his 20th victory of the real year Saturday for the Braves.
You're doing that.
Wake me up when they play the
You can
the
say
Mets.
no
When
one's
is
going to
that
watch
series?
that to prove you wrong.
The second from last series of the season.
None of the sports matter.
No,
Second? I thought it was the last series. It was the second?
I'm going to give you a Tennessee-Florida pick also because that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to give you a different pick than Rob. I'm going to go halftime. The Vols to cover. Last I saw it was 6.5. So you add that to Rob's parlay. Halftime Vols, game Vols, over Vols.
You're right, Raj. It is the last.
Tom, did you watch the Bristol night race?
I sure did.
It was a good race.
Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah,
All right.
I'm ready for that one. I'm ready for that one.
You can talk about after our show is done or not.
99 minutes into final words. We'll start with Tom. and let him have the Bristol race now. Not much.
Well, I'll talk about definitely this weekend's going to be fun. Like I said, we're having a big party at the Speakeasy. So we're going to have a bunch of people over, singing, dancing, doing the whole bit. Can't wait to get Rich Jasper on camera, doing a little DJing. It should be fun. But I'm looking forward to Michigan playing a team and won't be favored by, a half a century. This, albeit, is Maryland. Normally, you wouldn't be too excited about it, but it's a team that has a legitimate quarterback and Tua's little brother, and it'll be nice to see the Michigan Wolverines play somebody with somewhat significance to kind of test to see where they're at. So I look forward to the Big Ten season getting underway, the BS non-conference that they've played, which ultimately could come down and bite them in the butt. But we won't go there yet. But yeah, just a Big Ten season getting underway. I'm looking forward to that and another unpredictable. I got my butt kicked in DraftKings again this weekend, but another unpredictable weekend of football. And boy, we love it, and we just keep coming back for more.
Yeah, I got my butt kicked in DraftKings too. Raj, what you got?
Browns.
Three quick things. One, I missed the NFL, so just let me talk about the Raiders and how awful they are. They were up 20-0. They had 4 chances to eliminate Arizona when Arizona was do or die. 2 4th downs and 2 4th down conversions, and the Raider defense was pathetic. Back to the Raiders of old, penalties, etc. Especially anytime there's a good play. This is why I like going to games in person, because when you watch on TV, you just wait for that little flag to show up in the bottom right when you know your team sucks. Unfortunately, I've already bought tickets for them in Vegas coming up, and I'm supposed to go this weekend. So the Raiders suck. Don't ever believe in them. Their offensive line's the worst. Second, I don't like the disrespect we inadvertently showed to DJU or Uiagalelei, who's an amazing quarterback at St. John Bosco in Orange County. Easily was a 5-star. My point here is, and the great Polynesian or Samoa, one of the Polynesian islands, if you will, community in Southern California and in football, and no one meant any disrespect. But sometimes a quarterback just doesn't fit with a program and with a coach.
Absolutely.
And this is one of them. Finally, I want to say rest in peace. God damn it, COVID. Rest in peace, and that's a terrible start to this, but to the great Maury Wills, Los Angeles Dodger, as somebody I've met, and this was given to me. That's 104 bases behind him back when that was really tough to do. A guy who averaged 73 stolen bases over 4 seasons in the early 60s. 7-time All-Star, 3 rings, 2 Gold Gloves, et cetera, but just the nicest guy ever. I was fortunate enough to meet him a few times at Dodger Stadium. He was such a great guy and a great dude, and how we talked about, I'm trying to make this kind of a parallel for the SEC folk, but like Heupel, he was just a leader, and he was made a manager in baseball, Seattle Mariners back in the day, just a guy that people followed but didn't have to make people follow. I'm going to miss the guy. Just everyone knows when you meet somebody who's done something, a famous or a celebrity, and they're not an asshole, you're like, wow. Then you kind of look up the guy and you're like, wow, this guy probably should be an asshole, but just nice to everyone. And I always respect that. But overarching point, respect and rest in peace to Maury Wills, who Randall probably remembers because he was like 30 when Wills was playing.
We were in minor leagues together. We were in the minors league. Robbie, I'm gonna let you hit up
You
tonight
were better than I thought.
because I am. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing Friday night, and it's special. We are approaching 100 times that Bledsoe County High School and Sequatchie County High School have played football. We're into the high 80s. I think we may be breaking 90. These kids, high school students from these 2 high schools, have been playing each other since the 20s in football. Last year, the game goes down to a last-second kick. If you want to hear it, go to RiverCity-Media's TikTok, you can hear my call of the last second when an all-state kicker misses a 44-yard field goal for Sequatchie County to win the football game. This rivalry has been the last 6 out of 7 years. Sequatchie County, which I call their game, have won the game. It is school that has 600 and something people in high school at Sequatchie and 512 at Bledsoe.
Whoa.
So that's 1,100 kids in these schools, and we'll have 3,000 people surrounding the fence and in the stadium. A couple years ago, there were so many people listening on the radio, we hit the Arbitron ratings against stations in metro areas. And I've called a few games that feel like this, and it's a situation that the schools are 12 miles apart, and these kids go to church on Sunday. And a lot of times, I remember 4 years ago, 2 cousins were playing, and their grandmother come in with a half Bledsoe, half Sequatchie jersey on. My color man, Jeff Barger, graduated from Bledsoe. We went on to play college football, had 2 daughters attend Sequatchie County, is a Sequatchie County commissioner, and now he's a Sequatchie County radio announcer. My cousins, I have 1 cousin on the Bledsoe County team and 2 cousins on the Sequatchie County team. It's different, and it feels different. So Friday night, I get the pleasure of doing this game. And I've done Marion County, South Pittsburgh, which is another big game in this area. I've done Sylvania, Plainview. I've not done a Baylor-McCallie game, which is probably the biggest rivalry in the area. But if you don't have on something on Friday night and you just want to see great football, and you want to see kids play for the right reasons, drive up to Pikeville. Enjoy the game. If you can't, listen to me on 103.3 live streaming, WQSD radio. If you also want to watch it on TV, the CW out of Chattanooga is broadcasting it live on our local cable. If you are in the valley, which is over the mountain where we're at, you can listen to BTC 18, where we'll be live on TV. So multiple TV stations, multiple radio stations. And I said all that to say, I do what I do to make the kids feel like this is the most important thing in their life, because for some of them, it might be the most important thing in life. And I want to thank the media that's coming from 2 TV stations. A reporter out of Knoxville is set up to do the pregame show. I've got multiple VIPs that's going to give me interviews beforehand. All of you do this to make them feel special on Friday night. And that's why I'm still, at 56 years old, involved in high school football. And
Can we find out how old you are?
Yes, I'm 56, just turned 56. So it's going to be hard for me to come down on Friday night. I will be so excited that I'll lay in my bed till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning just replaying everything about the game. I love high school football. I love the kids that play high school football. I love the parents that drive the kids to practice from the time they're 5 years old till they're 18 years old.
And love's the operative word there.
And I do.
They love it. You love it. It's part of what it is.
It is a passion. So come see us Friday night. Robbie, I'm sorry I ran it. That's normally reserved for a Tennessee-Florida game, but I had to get it out. Hey, look, I'm doing Sequatchie Blitz on Friday night, Tennessee, Florida on Saturday, and I'm taking my 13-year-old daughter to see Alice Cooper on Sunday. I took work.
Detroit's own Alice Cooper.
Cooper at the Tivoli's awesome.
Well, hey, Randall, I would say in order for us to give back to those kids, if any of them want to get into sports media, let's have them on a guest segment on Reckless Speculation, and let's see if this is what it looks like. Not
they're going to be better than us, dude.
But it's good to see what it would look like.
Absolutely, I can get them on here.
Let's just get them as interns, but their parents need to be well.
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
final
Robbie?
words are, Raj, I'm glad you're back from COVID. I think our household's about to be battling the second bout of it. Hopefully I can make it to the Florida game this weekend. But yes, in this state, in this region, it is Tennessee, Florida, and most of our listeners, or some of our listeners at least, are from here. It's big, it's huge. It is going to be wild in Knoxville, and game day is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Randall's going to be there. Don't know if Rod's going to be there or not.
I'm
Tom's
going to try
for the Alabama game, which is going to be another Rockets atmosphere. But yeah, Neyland will be rocking, and all will Knoxville. Everyone stay safe, drink water, and don't make fools of ourselves, because this is we are on ESPN, and we do speak for the Vol Nation at this point. So no mustard bottles, no golf balls. Let's act like we've been here before, because we have been here before, and that's the main thing. We have been here before. So be respectful and be loud, but don't do anything stupid. And if you do get arrested,
don't wear jorts like Florida fans.
If you do get arrested, can you scroll my number on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, I can.
Don't drink bourbon after beer,
Yeah. Robbie is good if you've been
watching,
arrested.
everyone. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, I'm sorry too that this is what we do this for. We will get back on. Aaron Judd will be a talk next week, and hopefully he'll have his 61 home run. We're also going to talk Albert Apulos and his place in history, 2 home runs away from 700. We'll also have action from Knoxville.
Let's save baseball for the playoffs, and this is coming from a baseball guy. It's Tennessee, Florida, y'all. Gotta do this, man.
I think it's important. Robbie, are we going live reckless speculation at someplace Saturday?
Depends on when you get in town. I'll be there Friday night. We can do a quick show.
We don't have anyone to edit and to bleep out things. What Robbie just said. Not you guys. It's going to be the billions of people around you.
I'll try to hook up with you about lunchtime in Knoxville Friday or Saturday.
That's relative.
That's late.
Yeah, Robbie's lunch is going to be 4 a.m. the night before.
Yeah, and the Guardians' magic number is 7, Tom.
Yep, you got a 6-game lead.
So stupid. They're like the football team.
Randall,
I hate them.
For Raj Mehta, and I'm glad you're back too, Raj. I didn't say it earlier, but we missed you.
Thank you.
For Tom Sloan from the D, and from Robbie, who's going to be in Knoxville to bail me out of jail Saturday after I climb down. And I needed clarification, Robbie. Is tearing down the grow post acting like we've been there before?
Not if you're 56. No.
There's absolutely no excuse to charge.
Yeah.
Rush the field, or whatever it's called. None.
Yeah. Number 1 Alabama, maybe, but not when you're 10th in the country or whatever.
We won a championship. No, we under no circumstances we run.
I agree.
All right, this show made me move next week to Thursday, because I'm not sure by the time I can make bail, since nobody's going to get me out of jail for tearing the goalpost down.
Let's go. Someone with the strength of sobriety and the courage and has willpower, I don't know what you're going to do to become arrested.
I never rushed the court in basketball when we beat the Florida championship teams. No, we expect to win.
Really?
But the
Roger, all I heard was walkie top the whole time you were talking.
Hey, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you're concerned about getting arrested, then I weep for the rest of the people that drink and do dumb shit.
You're low on the totem pole of people.
way low. And that's what I'm saying. If it happens, then
I once called a tow company to get a car towed from my parking lot, and they were like, "Sorry, son, you are so far down the totem pole. we'll be there by November. And I was like, okay, touche.
But don't you want money? No.
Yeah.
Good night. See y'all down the road.